Craving a love story with real stakes? This Valentine's Day, dive into the complex world of The Unbroken Bond by Hardeman. Jackson and Jazzie are living proof that sometimes the deepest connection comes at the most unexpected and complicated time. Already married, they find themselves drawn together by a force they can't ignore. Will their undeniable bond survive the chaos? Give the gift of a story that explores the messy, beautiful, and sometimes heartbreaking realities of love. Order The Unbroken Bond on Amazon now.
All right, so today we're diving into The Unbroken Bond. This is a novel by Hardeman.
Oh, yeah?
And we'll also be using a YouTube interview with the author to get like a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look at how the book came together.
Cool.
So consider this like a crash course on this book.
Yeah.
The story, the characters, all the driving forces behind it all, without giving you like, all the spoilers.
Right.
We want you to still enjoy the book.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think one of the most fascinating things about The Unbroken Bond is it's a love story, of course.
Yeah.
But it's set against this like backdrop of a world that's kind of falling apart.
Yeah.
So it's a romance, but it also like grapples with some really like heavy real world events.
Absolutely. And we're kind of thrown right into the lives of Jazzie and Jackson. Jazzie's a married woman, Jackson's a younger man, and he's also married.
Right.
And their connection is like undeniable.
Yeah.
Very, very intense and definitely crosses the line.
For sure.
But the story, it's not all just about their affair.
Right.
It also brings in things like the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah.
And the Black Lives Matter movement.
It's really interesting how she weaves those in.
Yeah, it really reflects that time.
Yeah.
It was chaotic and uncertain.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a weird time.
And I think by like mirroring that, the chaos and uncertainty of the world with the character's own internal struggles.
Yeah.
It makes it feel really like immediate and urgent.
Yeah.
Like their problems are even bigger because the world is also kind of falling apart around them.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's talk about Jazzie.
Okay.
She's not your typical romance novel heroine.
Right.
She's really, really committed to her family and her friends.
Yeah, she's a good person.
And she's always putting their needs ahead of her own.
Mm-hmm.
But she's also like fiercely independent.
Yeah.
And she has a really strong creative spirit.
Yeah, and we see that through her baking.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She loves to bake.
Yeah, she's always in the kitchen whipping up something.
Yeah, and it's interesting, that baking, it's not just like a random hobby. It kind of shows her need for control.
Yeah.
And also like this desire to express herself creatively.
Absolutely.
Which becomes even more interesting when you think about her relationship with Jackson. There's this like tension there between what society expects from women in romantic relationships.
Right.
And what Jazzie herself really wants.
Yeah, she's not just going to settle.
Exactly.
She wants something more.
Yeah, she's really grappling with her desires and her commitment to her marriage.
Yeah, and that's where I think that unbroken bond from the title comes in.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like, is it the bond with her husband, or is it this new bond with Jackson?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out.
All right, so let's move on to Jackson.
Okay.
He's described as being really charming.
Yeah, he's got that bad boy charm.
Yeah, and he's successful, runs his own business.
Motorcycles, right?
Yeah, motorcycles, sales, and repair. But there are like these hints that he's got like a little bit of a darker side.
Right, yeah, there's something else going on there.
Like he's got secrets.
Yeah, and maybe even some illegal activities.
Oh, wow.
So he's definitely the complicated hero of the story.
Yeah.
He's got layers, and it makes you wonder about his motivations.
Yeah, for sure.
And then later in the book, he has this accident, and it really changes him.
Oh, wow.
Like it forces him to really look at his past choices.
So it's almost like a catalyst for some change in his life.
Exactly. Yeah, he has to figure out who he really is and what he wants.
Okay, so now we've got these two characters, Jazzie and Jackson.
Right.
And they have this intense connection.
Yeah, you can't deny the chemistry between them.
And the author, Hardeman, she doesn't shy away from showing their passion.
No, she doesn't.
Like, she highlights their first date, the thrill of those motorcycle rides.
Oh, yeah, those sound fun.
And they even have this secret rendezvous spot that they call the Fuck Fest.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah. The Fuck Fest, that definitely caught my attention.
I know, right?
Seems kind of playful on the surface with its rules and rituals.
Yeah.
But I think it also hints at like a deeper exploration of sexuality and control.
Yeah, it's definitely provocative. But it's interesting because in her interview, Hardeman says that she actually tries to avoid being too graphic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like she wants to show the intensity of their connection without being gratuitous or, over the top.
Yeah, so it's more about the emotional and psychological dynamics.
Exactly.
Not just trying to shock the reader.
So their connection is super passionate, but it doesn't mean it's all smooth sailing.
Oh, of course not.
There are all these challenges they face.
What kind of challenges?
Well, Jackson's got those legal troubles.
Right.
There are consequences to his actions,
Mm-hmm.
And there's this constant pull between what they want and their commitments to their families and their marriages.
Right.
So this is where things start to unravel.
Okay, so the unraveling, this is the key part of the story.
Yeah.
This is where, like, all those facades start to crumble.
Yeah.
Jackson's secrets come out, and it puts their whole affair at risk.
Mm-hmm.
And Jazzie, she's trying to balance everything, but it's getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
And eventually they can't ignore the consequences of their actions.
Right, everything comes crashing down.
Exactly. And that's what makes this part of the story so compelling. You're just waiting to see what happens next.
Yeah, for sure. So are you ready to dig into the unraveling?
Absolutely, I'm hooked.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go.
And as we dig deeper into this whole unraveling thing, all those secrets about Jackson's business, they really take center stage.
Right.
Turns out his motorcycle shop, it's a front for some serious illegal stuff.
Yeah, like a lot more than just fixing bikes.
Way more. And it adds this whole new layer of risk
to
their relationship.
Makes you wonder if Jazzie knows anything about it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a classic trope, right? The bad boy with the secret life. Yeah. But Hardeman, she does something interesting with it.
What do you mean?
Well, Jackson's not just like some tough guy,
Right.
He's got these internal conflicts.
Yeah.
He cares about Jazzie. He's got his family.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's facing the consequences of his actions.
Yeah, it's all catching up to him.
Yeah. And that's what makes him so interesting.
Well, things get real when his shop gets raided.
Oh, wow. By who?
The DEA.
No way.
Yeah, it's a huge turning point.
Right. Like he could lose everything.
Exactly. And you got to see how Jazzie reacts.
How does she take it?
She stands by him.
Really? Even after finding out about all the illegal stuff?
Yep. Even when his world is falling apart.
That's interesting.
It makes you think about her character.
Yeah, what's motivating her?
Is it love? Or is she just blinded by passion?
Or maybe she likes the danger.
Ooh, maybe.
Hardeman doesn't really give us a clear answer.
Yeah, she leaves it open to interpretation.
Makes you think.
Speaking of questionable judgments.
Oh, what now?
Remember how Jazzie loves debate?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it gets a little interesting with the whole fuckfest thing.
Right, the fuckfest.
Yeah.
Definitely a memorable part of the story.
It's playful on the surface.
Yeah, Jazzie pushing boundaries.
But it also says a lot about the power dynamic between them.
I was thinking that too.
Jazzie's the one who makes the rules.
Huh. Even though she seems so sweet and caring?
Exactly. It flips the script.
Yeah, she's in control.
And then boom, Jackson has this motorcycle accident.
Oh no, is he? Okay.
It's bad. It throws everything into chaos.
Yeah, talk about a wrench in the works.
Totally. They're both forced to face how fragile life is.
So what happens next?
Jazzie goes into overdrive.
Oh, wow.
She's determined to be there for him.
Even with the pandemic and everything?
She doesn't care. She breaks hospital rules to be by his side.
Wow, that's intense.
But it makes you wonder, is it love?
Yeah. Or is it that need for control again?
Right.
Hardeman's really good at weaving in those real world events,
The pandemic, the protests, it all adds to the tension.
It makes their choices feel so real.
Yeah, right there with them.
And just when you think things can't get more complicated,
Jackson drops a bomb.
what does he do?
He ends things with Jazzie.
Oh, wow, just like that.
He says he needs to focus on his family, make amends for his mistakes.
So is he growing as a person?
It's hard to say.
Yeah, maybe he's just running away.
Maybe.
And what about Jazzie? How's she handling all this?
It's rough. She goes through a period of grief.
I thought.
She sells her motorcycle, which was a symbol of their freedom.
Oh, man, that's gotta hurt.
She even lashes out at people.
Wow, so she's not holding back.
Nope. It's a real raw portrayal of heartbreak.
Yeah.
But even in those dark moments, you see her strength.
Oh, that's good.
She focuses on herself, starts to rebuild her life.
So what does she do?
She opens her own bakery.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she calls it Happy Ending.
I love that.
It's she's taking control, creating her own happiness.
good for her.
But of course, just as she's moving on, Kate steps in.
What happens?
They run into each other
Oh, no, really?
at the grocery store.
Of all places.
I know, right?
It's so cliche.
But it works.
Yeah, how does it play out?
Well, that old spark, it's still there.
Oh, I bet.
But there's also caution,
Yeah, they have a lot of baggage.
And then Jazzie drops a bomb.
Oh boy, what now?
Remember all those fuckfest rendezvous?
Yeah.
They had an unexpected consequence.
Don't tell me.
A son.
What?
His name is Brave.
Wow, talk about a twist.
I know, right?
This changes everything.
It throws their whole reunion into question.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's not just about them anymore.
It's about family responsibility.
Forgiveness.
This is heavy stuff.
So are you ready to see how they handle this?
Oh yeah, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Okay, so we've got this secret son, a rekindled love, and a whole lot of baggage.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack.
I know, right? And it's interesting how Hardeman uses this to explore not just romantic love,
Right.
but like family and responsibility.
Yeah, it goes way deeper than just a love triangle. Totally. So how does Jackson react to this whole son thing?
Well, first he's in shock.
I bet.
I mean, he's got daughters from his previous marriage, and that relationship is kind of strained.
Right.
So this whole thing with Brave, it's like the past is catching up to him.
Yeah, he can't run from it anymore.
And it makes you wonder, is he even capable of being a good dad?
Yeah, he's made some bad choices.
A lot of them.
Is he really changing, or is this just another way to avoid responsibility?
It's hard to tell at first.
Yeah.
But as he spends more time with Brave, you start to see a shift.
Really?
Yeah, he's actually connecting with his son.
Wow.
He's present, he's engaged. It's like a whole new side of him.
It's almost like this responsibility has woken him up.
Yeah, like he finally sees what's important.
Okay, but what about Jazzie?
Yeah.
How does she deal with all this, knowing Jackson's past?
Well, she's cautious.
Makes sense.
She's happy he's getting to know Brave. But she's also scared
Of what?
that he'll go back to Tammy, choose his old life.
Yeah, that's a real possibility.
It's a tough situation.
And this is where Jazzie starts to change.
Oh, how so?
Remember, she's always putting everyone else first.
Yeah, the self-sacrificing type.
But now she realizes she deserves happiness too.
Good for her.
Yeah, she's done putting herself last.
So she sets boundaries
Yeah.
and makes a big decision.
What's that?
She decides to take a chance on love again.
Wow.
Not just for Brave, but for herself.
That's huge.
It's a big step for her.
So does Jackson step up?
He does.
Really?
He commits to Jazzie and to Brave.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's not easy, though.
Of course not.
There's doubt, there's guilt.
They have to rebuild trust.
Exactly.
But in the end, they find their way back to each other.
The unbroken bond, right?
Yeah, and it's not just about romantic love.
Right.
It's about family.
The bonds that connect us.
It's about resilience.
It's a powerful message.
Especially in today's world.
Yeah, it gives you hope.
It reminds us that even when things are tough,
When we make mistakes.
there's always a chance for redemption.
And for love.
And sometimes those unexpected things, like an unplanned pregnancy,
Right.
they can lead us to where we're supposed to be.
It's like fate.
I don't want to spoil the ending,
Okay.
but Hardeman gives us this beautiful image of family, forgiveness, and the power of love.
It's a story that stays with you.
It makes you think about your own choices,
Yeah.
your own definition of family.
The things that really matter.
So if you're looking for a story that will challenge you, move you, and give you hope,
Check out The Unbroken Bond.
it's a great reminder that love can heal,
It can transform,
and it can guide us to our own happy ending.
even if it's a little unconventional.
And that's it for this deep dive into The Unbroken Bond.
Hope you enjoyed it.
To receive your copy of The Unbroken Bond, please visit my website at www.dayhardeman.com, or you may also go on Amazon or Barnes & Nobles.